Wales and South Africa, folks. 13 points to 12 to the Welsh. First ever win in South Africa. Congratulations to Wales. That is a pretty massive result. But we're going to go through some key events and stats, and you guys can let me know your thoughts. I would imagine for you guys who watched this live, it would have been the kind of game that had you on the edge of your seat, chewing your fingernails, taking blood pressure medication, whatever it is. For me, though, I watched it delayed because it was on about 3 in the morning, and unfortunately, the bloody commentators in the Scotland and Argentina game spoiled the result for me. So I was kind of going into this one as a foregone conclusion. So all that tension at the end with the final conversion and Wales's try and the missed kicks and whatnot, yeah, it didn't have that kind of same bite for me, unfortunately. But I mean, I blame myself for not getting up at 3. But I also blame the Scottish commentators for at least not giving me a bloody warning, because I'd avoided their first spoiler on in the first half when they almost got me, but they got me in the second half when they mentioned it again. Anyway, the game starts at a pretty hectic pace, and a good penalty for Wales, man. 3 points. Pieter-Steph off his feet pretty much from the kickoff. 11 seconds in, 3-0. Not a bad start. If you're gonna hit back against South Africa from last week, you want to get in front, and they do it. 3 points. But that's their only points in the first half. And as I said, it came within kind of the first minute for Wales. The rest of the first half, I mean, South Africa get one back. That one comes from South Africa's maul, getting them some advantage. And Arendse, to be fair, had gone close. They had a couple of advantages, but they opted for 3 as well. So early scoring, penalty-wise, but then no more scoring for the rest of the first half. To be fair, I would say South Africa certainly had more point-scoring opportunities in that first half that they did not take. I think they'll look back at this first half and have a few regrets, but also Dan Bigger's goal kicking for 2 weeks in a row now has proved a little bit inconsistent. I mean, likewise Pollard. They both missed some kicks that I think you would usually assume they were going to get. Gelant was clearly under instructions to try and put Fassi through with the ball from the boot, because he tried a couple of grubbers through for Fassi. They never really worked out in terms of getting it into Fassi's hands, but they did get some pretty decent line position. Like one of them got a South African line out in Wales's half. I think Gelant put the kick through, but it hit a Welsh player and went out, so South Africa get the line out, so it's a good result. But then like Raphael? I know it's not Rafael. Tommy Rafael gets a turnover, and he was massive. Breakdown tackles, like he was your guy, Wales. I don't know who got man of the match, but he would certainly have to be right up there. Dweba gives away a pretty soft penalty for South Africa when he tackles one of the Welsh guys off the ball. I mean, to be fair, the Welsh guys have been popping these short passes. So for a big front rower, sometimes it's the action's too quick. You can't pick where the ball's at. But Bigger misses the penalty anyway, so it doesn't kind of matter. Cuthbert goes off. They had tried a couple of aerial balls, at least one aerial ball to him early. They're trying to exploit the height advantage with him over Arendse. But he goes off injured, and Josh Adams has to come on, unfortunately, for Cuthbert, because remember, he missed the first week with a bit of a niggle anyway. And South Africa missed a penalty of their own. That one was from their scrum. So, both sides left some points out there in the first half. Also, the TMO put a check in, which is going to kind of come back, I don't want to say to haunt, but it's going to be a bit of a contrast when Dweba gets hit by a pretty big tackle in the first half. And to be fair, live, I thought that looks a bit dodgy. But TMO calls check. They have a look at it and go, nah, it's a fair hit, which is fair enough. The hit is fair. And then later on, there's a yellow card, which they decide not to check, which proves to be maybe a bit of a howler. It seems to be from my one viewing of it, one initial view and then one replay. But anyway, bit of a contrast. So anyway, fair hit on Dweba. Physical game. Wales line out not straight proved to be an issue with both their hookers. But it happens in the first half. They get a yellow card warning for some offside, so they're kind of piggybacking the South Africans up the field. And then on about 24 minutes, I'm going to say for South Africa, one of the biggest, you could call it a turning point, one of the biggest let-offs or failures is a line-out just not going straight when they're 5 metres out from the Welsh line. You got to remember, last week the South Africans mauled it about 8 times and got 3 tries. and they have the Welsh on a yellow card warning for too many offside penalties conceded. So they've absolutely got Wales on the ropes. They just need to deliver the knockout punch, line out not straight. So a big let off, and then the scrum gets free kicked. So bang bang, suddenly Wales, who were under the pump, are able to kind of exit. So a big let off. Like, as much as you can look back at missed goal kicks for both sides in this one, I think that one's a bit of a brutal one. And then likewise when Roos gets kind of turned over from the back of a big South African scrum. Again, it's Gelant with a little grubber kick through. It goes 5 metres out. Wales have to line out from their own kind of 22. Then Moore gets turned over. So South African scrum, big scrum. But then the ball's loose. Roos can't really control it. And then the Welsh are able to turn them over. So kind of two big moments in the first half, I would say. Wales managed to hold on. South Africa don't capitalise. So 3 points apiece at half-times. Pretty tight stuff. Possession-wise, it's pretty tight, but territory, it's all South Africa, 61-39. We haven't seen much of Wales down in South Africa's half at all. And in the second half, Thomas Williams comes on for Hardy, and a couple of the new front rowers come on for South Africa as well. So both sides, I guess, trying to change things up a bit. I don't know if Hardy was injured or what. Second half, the South Africans go in front. Pollard, who's putting in some big carries. You're expecting it from like Esterhuizen, but it's Pollard with the big carries, even if his work with the boot is not on song. But Rollins gives away a breakdown penalty, so 6-3. And then when my phone's just going off, when South Africa concede a penalty, Hendrikse with a pretty rubbish box kick and Toit not going back 10. Wales get a penalty to try and even things up. Bigger misses it. So like I said, kind of uncharacteristic goal kicking from him. South Africa get there. Next one, so 9-3 lead. In the context of this game, 9-3 lead is pretty decent because she's a low scoring one. But of course, I know what is going to happen at this point, so it's kind of by the by. Bigger goes off, Anscombe comes on, and then Pollard misses an absolute sitter. Like, he'll rightly get a bit of stick about that one. Like, that's one that any goal kicker worth his salt should be knocking over. But he misses one. They all do it at some point. So, a bit of a disappointing one, especially in the context of this game. And remember earlier when I mentioned the TMO check on the Dweba tackle? Well, 56 minutes, Alan Wynne-Jones gets yellow carded. He's incredulous, and the linesman, I think it's Piatti, has called the ref to say he's cynical with his hands, the ball, but he's not even touched it. It's a really weird one where Alan Wynne is clearly, he doesn't even want to leave the field because he doesn't know what he's done wrong. And that was probably worth a wee check. Like, if you were willing to check the Dweba tackle just to make sure, this one would have been worth checking, because I think if the TMO had gotten the ref's ear just to slow him down a bit, just let me have a quick look. Even though I'm all for the refs having control of the game and keeping things going and not stopping every 5 minutes, that one seemed like a bit of a howler. I saw it live and then they showed the replay once, and it didn't look like Alan Wynne got anywhere near it, so I'm not sure what the deal with that was. But either way, it's a yellow card for Wales. So, not ideal for them. South Africa get the maul. They get advantage. They spin it wide. The final pass from Gelant to Fassi doesn't quite make it. They go back for a penalty. It's 12 points to 3. But that's the end of the scoring for South Africa. Wales's woes kind of continue on with the line-out. Dewey Lake can't do much better. You feel like that was their first chance down in South African territory for quite some time. The line-out not straight is kind of brutal. That leads to a big South African scrum from the resulting scrum that's awarded to South Africa from the line-out not straight, and that leads to a penalty. They spin it wide again to Fassi, but he kicks it. It's too big, so kind of nothing doing from that one. So and then a bit of a let-off because South Africa obstruction at maul time. That one's a bit of a, I don't want to say own goal, but yeah, like I said, a bit of a let-off. Like, the maul needs to be your weapon. A free obstruction one's kind of a free exit for the Welsh boys. Lake not straight again, but remember Etzebeth's been giving him all kinds of trouble. But then Arendse penalised for not releasing at the breakdown. And to be fair, I mean, Rafael's going to be the guy who gets most of the plaudits, but team effort for the Welsh boys at the breakdown, they were really, really quite competitive. So yeah, that penalty is kicked by Anscombe, who's come on. And 12-6 is, I don't know, it's still on a knife edge. If you guys were watching it live, you'd still be thinking South Africa's gonna push on. but it's suddenly a one-score game, mate. Dylan Lewis goes off, which is unfortunate because I reckon he was probably down to play 80 pretty much. But the replacement on debut kind of comes on and does all right, doesn't he? Especially given the way the game finishes. Etzebeth concedes a penalty at line-out time. That one seems pretty clear, but then Anscombe misses the shot. Wales go through some phases, but the South African defence is looking pretty sound. Adam Baird knocks it on. And if you were watching live, like I'm trying to put myself in the mindset if I hadn't known the result, I'm assuming I would have been thinking Wales are just going to bash themselves against this brick wall. South Africa is probably going to get one more penalty and then it'll be beyond doubt. But no, because Mchunu gets penalised at scrum time. Wales at this point, it's like 75 minutes, have to opt for touch. And they maul it, they get advantage, they go wide. The final pass is a beauty to Josh Adams, and he goes over in the corner. Gelant tries to stop him, but he can't do it. So what a pressure conversion for Gareth Anscombe. I absolutely wish I didn't know the result at that time. Sorry to go on about that, but what a conversion. Talk about a pressure kick. 12 points to 13. Wales are in front with like a minute to go. They managed to fluff up the restart, which is pretty disappointing from them. So it's scrum time in Wales' half, pretty much straight out in front. The scrum sits for ages. Like, clearly the Springboks wanted to keep the ball in there to try and win a penalty. The scrum kind of collapses, but the ref seems to maybe be getting a call from his AR. But I'm not sure what's happening because then the ref just plays on, the ball spins out. Some phases, Gelant's pass to Koch gets knocked on. And then that's all she wrote. So game over, sets up a massive third test next week. And yeah, like I said, first Welsh win in South Africa is absolutely massive. I mean, run meters, the stats are kind of ridiculous. 292 for South Africa is not very high, but 100 run meters for Wales is bonkers low. That's really, really, really a low stat. So you can still win a game. One thing you love about Union A is you can win a game many different ways. South Africa got the possession 56%. They got the territory 52%. So given that the Welsh only had like 39% in the first half, it clearly shows they were better territorially in the second half. But I mean, one key number I love here. I mean, South Africa's tackling is 90%, which at test match level is pretty good. They make 90 tackles. Wales, 94%. That's unbelievable. That's really, really world class. That's a win based on a massive defensive shift. They don't concede any tries. I mean, admittedly, like I said, the South Africans had a couple of key moments where they fluffed it, but still, you've got to give credit to that Welsh defence. Lineouts, 11 from 12 for the South Africans, pretty steady. Their lineouts usually very reliable. 11 from 16 for Wales is concerning. Often those numbers won't be good enough, but didn't make the difference today. Clean breaks is 3-zip to South Africa, so their running game was certainly the more dangerous of the two, but it's the score line stat that matters. Pollard, 41 metres and 3 defenders beaten. Like I said, he didn't kick that well from the tee, but yeah, ball in hand, he was getting some good go forward, like whereas Esterhuizen was pretty quiet. You know what I mean? The back line 3 didn't quite fire. I mean, Arendse had a few good carries. Gelant was trying to run and put a lot of kicks through. Fassi didn't get that much ball, put a couple of kicks through as well. Riffle for Wales, 12 from 13 tackles, wins a couple of turnovers. He was immense. Lydiate makes 18 from 18. So, yeah, like I said, pretty crazy game. I wish I hadn't been spoiled the result because I reckon that would have been a classic. But either way, it's still a classic. But it just never has that quite same tension if you know the result. But anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts. 13 points to 12, first ever win in South Africa for Wales. Congratulations. Maybe that takes the pressure off Wayne Pivak for a bit. And yeah, we'll see what kind of team lines up for South Africa next week. You guys let me know your thoughts. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.